Last night, Donald Trump gave an extraordinary speech. I was watching this speech with a variety of different eyes on, as it were. I grew up in, and I'm really curious your thoughts. Did Donald Trump gain more votes, particularly among independents, which are going to swing this election, and the base, I suppose, or did he lose more with that speech last night? And one of the eyes through which I was watching this speech, because I just really have no other choice, is that of a white kid who grew up in a blue-collar, white, middle-class suburb of Lansing, Michigan, or it was the south part of Lansing, Michigan, but it was, a neighborhood of $15,000 homes in the 1950s, and what are probably now $90,000 homes. And, just a working class neighborhood. My dad worked in a tool and die shop. Most of my friends, their fathers worked at General Motors. Used to make a hell of a lot of cars in Lansing in the 50s and 60s when I grew up there, and 70s. We left Michigan in 1978. And so I'm looking at that speech thinking, what do my friends, how are the guys and women, but Trump is shouting out most loudly, I think, to white men. How would the guys that I grew up with respond to Trump's speech last night? The whole convention, for that matter, but particularly Trump's speech last night. And his daughter's incredible softening of him before his speech. Her speech was brilliant. It just should have been given at a Democratic convention. It doesn't reflect anything that Trump has ever said, and it doesn't reflect anything that's in the Republican platform. But anyhow, setting that aside, with my Michigan white guy hat on, I'm thinking 70, 80, 90% of the people that I grew up with are watching that Trump speech going, yeah, this is my guy. I live in a community now. We live in a boat in the marina here in Washington, D.C., where probably a third of our neighbors are military or retired military. On pretty much every military base in this country, the main television channel that is almost always on is Fox News. Same with truck stops. Same with police stations. Where they're watching the news. I mean, at least in my experience. And I'm guessing that the vast majority of my neighbors, not the vast majority of my neighbors, the vast majority of the military folks among my neighbors are, watched that speech and said, yeah. Now, the elites in both the Democratic and Republican Party, the thinkers, the professionals, were just horrified by the speech last night. As was I. I mean, I thought it was dark. I thought it was dystopian. I thought it was like something out of George Orwell's Animal House. But if you go over to redstate.com, which is edited by Brian Pruitt, who is a regular on our TV show. He's on, every week for our, one of our politics panels or something like that. Brian's a conservative, a very a thoughtful man, and a decent guy. I disagree with most of his politics, but I really like and honor Brian. And I went over to redstate.com to look at this website. And the number one headline, Trump's new GOP cheers homosexuality and boos God. I'm done. Number two headline, the era of Trump has killed conservative integrity. Number three, burning down the conservative movement. Number four, Trump's relentless, angry, negative speech about an intrusive government. Number five, dear Trumpkins, do you really think we were like, did you really think we were like you? And this is the remnant of the voice of William F. Buckley and Barry Goldwater's conservative party, right? Conservative Republican Party. So then you go to the New York Times, and you just look at the headlines. Dark warnings for America as he takes GOP mantle. Trump pledges order and says, "I am your voice." A vision for the U.S. summed up in 2 words: I alone. Right, that just sent chills down me. I alone can save you? That is so classic demagogue. That is so classic, big man. It's the sort of thing that you expect to hear out of a third-rate, third-world banana republic leader. That's like, it's like Mugabe. Or I'm forgetting the name of the guy who ran Argentina, who murdered and disappeared all those folks. And Pinochet was Chile, Troy. But whoever it was, or for that matter, Pinochet. I will save you. Many of the facts were, well, Jill Biden tweeted out this morning. My hopes and prayers are with the fact checkers. Much of what was in Trump's speech was absolute BS, but much of it was true. And much of it was true and so out of context that its meaning was completely the opposite of what reality is. And I'm not going to sit here and go through and fact check his entire speech. I think that would be a waste of time, frankly, because I don't think people vote based on the facts in a speech. I think they vote on the tone, the tenor, the gestalt, the air, the zeitgeist, the spirit of the times, and I can see, like I said, the guys that I grew up with, whose dads were making $40 an hour at General Motors and who are now struggling on $10 an hour at Home Depot, saying, yeah, bring back our jobs. Take on those guys. And it concerns me. It concerns me tremendously because I think that this is a very dangerous man. And frankly, so do many Republicans. But beyond that, I also think that the Republican Party is very dangerous. But this is a very, very interesting kind of a turning point for the Republican Party because this, many of these kind of the red state Republicans, the redstate.com, the old line Republicans, the formerly real Republicans are looking at Trump and going, our party is toast. This is no longer our Republican Party. And here's Mike Pence up there, who's like the #1 champion of the Iraq War and of TPP and of all these trade, NAFTA, CAFTA, SHAFTA, all of them. Mike Pence loved them all. Mike Pence, the guy who said tobacco doesn't kill you, doesn't cause cancer. Mike Pence, the guy who denies global warming and evolution. The guy who, if you give him enough money, he'll take pretty much any position. That's the old-fashioned Republican Party, right? And Mike Pence up there going, yep. And this morning, Donald grabbed the news cycle again this morning. He just went to give a speech to say thank you to the volunteers. That was brilliant. In fact, I predict that he's going to figure out a way to preempt part of the Democratic convention next week every single day. This guy's going to own the news cycle until November. And it's got me scared.
To watch more clips from our programs, hit the Watch More Videos button over here. And please be sure to hit the handy-dandy subscribe button so you'll always be up to date. Tag, you're it.